Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is my review for the 11th episode of Season 2 of Stargirl titled Summer School Chapter 11. The description for the episode says, after a frightening encounter leaves Courtney's life hanging in the balance, the team bands together to determine their next steps. We picked up with Courtney finding the whole Cyric family alive in the Shadowlands. It makes sense that the first thing she saw was her first big failure, Joey's death. He creeped her out with the same car trick from when they first met, so she ran out of there, ending up at the school with Isaac, his mom, and the return of the Queen. I love the recreation of the fight from Part 1. Cindy realized that this was the real Courtney, took her to her childhood room we saw in episode 5, and described the Shadowlands as purgatory. I had assumed it was their version of hell. After all, Yolanda said Eclipso is the devil. I feel they implied that since the Cyrics and Anya and Isaac Bowen were there, wearing the same clothes as when they died, and Isaac references Tuba. One of my favorite scenes was between Courtney and Barbara on the night that JSA died. Even though it's all Eclipso, it showed a new side of Barbara that I always assumed had to be there, and I hope we explore more of it later. She had resentment towards Courtney because she got pregnant and threw away her career. Now she was slaving away for a daughter who only cared about her deadbeat father and never appreciated her. Cindy was convinced Courtney couldn't survive here because she's too good. She doesn't embrace her darkness like Cindy does. After all the trauma she went through, that's how Cindy survived. I found it interesting that Cindy said people can send themselves to the Shadowlands by getting lost in despair. Does that mean Yolanda sent herself here and Brainwave and Eclipso had nothing to do with it? That would explain why her vision started before Eclipso arrived. It was truly all in her head. While Ito's drones took Cindy away, Courtney was saved by Dr. Charles McNider. He let her try out his goggles and see the Shadowlands' true form. While time works differently there, he survived so long because thanks to the goggles he wasn't constantly hearing his daughter's cries. Charles believed the Shade sent him there to save him and he could get them out. I love that even though they're on the opposite sides, Charles and Shade were there for each other when they needed it most. Charles lost his daughter and Shade blamed himself for her death because he knew about Eclipso and did nothing. The part I'm not sure about is saying Shade was different from the ISA. Jordan wasn't necessarily a bad person either. He had good intentions, just went about it the wrong way. In the real world, everyone thought Courtney was dead. It was so emotional when Pat came back without her, and Amy Smart did such a good job. So did Angelica when she said that the goggles were full of tears, but she's too afraid to take them off. Thankfully she didn't because Charles told her Courtney was with him and they needed the Shade's help. They used Jenny's ring to track him down, which looks so good. The CGI was great, but they found two signatures, so they split up. Pat and Barbara found him, but he refused to help and was shocked Charles was even alive. Barbara got her time to shine, calling him out on using Courtney and saying, "Go ahead, kill me, cause I don't want to live without my daughter." So good. She got him to open the portal, but Charles and Courtney ran back to get Cindy. Courtney finally got her turn at Eclipso's mind games, showing her how she ruined Rick and Yolanda's lives. He brought up her dad, even though she's over him, and she proved it by leaving the locket in the Shadowlands. She listened to Cindy and finally embraced her darkness, telling Eclipso she hates him, but that's exactly what he wanted. The Shadowlands had been paradise for Cindy up until now, but now she saw her mother's death, how she accidentally killed her while throwing a tantrum because she wouldn't let her stay up. We also saw how Ito planned on turning her into the Dragon Queen. Charles and Courtney saved her, but there was such a heartbreaking scene as both young and older Cindy stood over their mom's body and apologized. I was like, Courtney, shut up and let her have her closure. Unlike Charles and Courtney, Cindy didn't have anyone waiting for her in the real world. Even at the end, the Shadowlands were her paradise because she just wanted to be with her mom. I feel so bad, but at least Yolanda's lucky she won't have to kill Eclipso now that Cindy's here. I was afraid the portal would close right before Cindy got out because the Shade had been struggling and then he finally collapsed. This was such a good death scene. It was so emotional, just how he apologized and asked Barbara to tell the world he died doing good. I want him to come back because I love his character, which is surprising since I didn't care for him at first, but that'd be a waste of such a great scene. And there should be stakes, which the show is good at. I always say this about Stargirl, but I totally enjoyed this episode. I love the black and white aesthetic, the eerie, creepy feeling of the Shadowlands. The score was so good, especially during the Shade's death. And real or fake, Barbara was amazing this episode. Amy Smart stole the show. The scene with Courtney in the Shadowlands was so good. There was this kind of recurring theme of showing how their relationship with their mothers meant so much to Courtney and Cindy. I'm so glad they finally explored more of Cindy's backstory, even if it's things we'd already heard but never seen before. But it left me with more questions. She said she learned about the Shadowlands on the island. What island? Did she go to Diablo's island between seasons? Did Dragon King take her there as a kid? What other abuse did he put her through? Because I feel like there's so much more we don't know yet. I get the feeling they're setting her up to be an anti-hero, and I really hope they go there. I know not everyone loves her as much as I do because she's a villain, but we gotta remember she's just a kid, a traumatized kid, a victim of her monster of a father. Like they've constantly pointed out, there's a difference between bad and evil. Eclipso is evil. Dragon King was evil. Isaac was bad. So was Henry. But he had time to grow and become a better person. Like Cindy said, she just made the best she could of the shitty situation life gave her, but now she's got another chance. I love all the references to Season 1 in the Shadowlands, the unsettling townspeople, Joey's magic trick, Stargirl versus Shift, Cindy being taken away by the drones like in Shift Part 2. I did have some issues with the episode. It felt less cinematic. The COVID restrictions were really apparent, and you could really feel the lower budget. The show sometimes struggles bringing in dark topics. It's like they're afraid to truly go there, but even then it's way darker than The Flash, and they're both family shows according to Eric Wallace. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for similar content. Leave your thoughts on the video or episode in the comments below. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Goodbye.